Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Wednesday, January 18th. And the big story over the next 5 days or so is going to be the mild temperatures climbing into the 40s by day, 30s at night, but still very icy roads across many areas across mid-Michigan, and many schools in Gratiot and Isabella remain closed again here on this Wednesday. Again, we expect conditions to improve if temperatures rise up towards 40 and then into the 40s through much of the week into early next week. But I think that we're going to see a good chance of some winter returning by the middle or end of next week. And then we're going to watch just beyond that period for the potential for a major winter storm to come out of the southern plains. And it's behind that system, I think we're going to tug down some of the coldest air of the year, as we may even see a cross-polar flow from Siberia moving into the northern U.S. And again, that's something it's about 10, 12, 13 days away. But again, winter is coming back, and it's going to come back with a vengeance here again in about 10 days. If we look at the next slide, you can see iconic historic building, the 300 bowling alley torn down, and lots of memories there. And the question is, will they put another bank or another pharmacy over there in Alma? If we look at the normals of the day, our normal high is 29, the normal low is 13. And you can see again 1982 for about the third day in a row, record cold temperatures, 18 below zero, and that was one of the coldest presidential inaugurations in the history, and that was Ronald Reagan. If we look at the conditions across the U.S. yesterday, the warmest temperature 87 degrees at McAllen, Texas, and the low 30 below zero at Bondurant, Wyoming. And if we look at the conditions around a little closer to home around MAC yesterday, you can see temperatures mainly in the mid to upper 30s, even up into the mid 40s across southeast lower Michigan. And again, plenty of precipitation and plenty of melted ice in some of the rain gauges. And you can see we're now almost 2 degrees above normal per day so far for the month of January. And again, we're going to continue to see that number rise here over the next 5 to 7 days before we see our temperatures really cool down. And if we look at the snowfall so far for the season, we're at 57.63% of the normal snowfall for a season here in Breckenridge. And again, not a whole lot of snow expected here over the next 5 to 7 days, but then I think we'll be getting into a colder and potentially snowier weather pattern once we get towards next weekend, not this weekend again, but next weekend. And if we look at the snowfall depth across the area, the protective snow cover for our winter wheat crop, you can see pretty much no snow on the ground, about a ½ inch of snow on the ground this morning, as it has been for the last week or so, mainly in the form of really hard packed snow and icy lawns. If we look at the temperatures around the area this morning, conditions you can see mainly in the mid 30s across the entire area with plenty of cloud cover. And if we look at the next shot, you can see the radar nice and clear across much of the Great Lakes. And we expect very little in the way of precipitation here over the next 24 hours, 36 hours. And you can see warm temperatures out there this morning, and you can see that's going to continue. We don't see anything out of the north, so as long as the winds continue to be out of the south-southwest, look for mild conditions to continue. And if we look at the weather map for this morning, this is our next weather maker. A low pressure system in southern Texas is going to eventually move up towards Indiana or Ohio, and it's going to spread a band of rainfall. And we can look at the weather map by tomorrow morning. You can see that low pressure system now coming up into Arkansas, and then finally by Friday now coming into southeast Illinois. And again, above that warm front, we're going to see some precipitation break out. Now the WPC actually has mid-Michigan areas like Newaygo, Breckenridge, Middleton, over towards Henderson and Brown City picking up some freezing rain. I think the best bet is that it'll be mainly a rain event. Now I can't rule that out. There certainly could be some freezing rain, and the way we've been going, it would make sense that we'd get some. But overall, this should be primarily a rain event with amounts total of around 1/4 to 1/2 inch. And if we look at, again, precipitations from the incept over the next 7 days, which would also include the system coming in for the weekend, mainly 1/4 to 1/2 inch across northern lower Michigan and central Michigan, and a little heavier amounts between 1/2 inch to as much as 1 inch as you get into far southern lower Michigan. And if we look at the extended outlook, you can see temperatures are going to be remaining warm across much of the eastern part of the U.S., but watch this area here. Eventually, as we talked about, the big upper ridge, as that continues to move to the northeast, we'd eventually see undercutting, and that's also going to develop a pretty active storm track once we get especially into late next week and then beyond. And you can see the warm air getting squeezed off to the northeast. And again, this will be just a little bit above normal by this time, not dramatically warm. And again, as the cold air comes in underneath, we're going to have storm tracks coming into the southern U.S. and then moving to the northeast. And that should bring more in the way of precipitation across much of the Great Lakes. And if we look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, again, this is the time period I think we can start picking up some accumulating snows a little bit more widespread. And now on to Weather Watch. You can see much quieter out there this morning. Just some fog advisories across portions of northeastern Wisconsin and also across western Missouri. Thanks for stopping by and have yourself a great day. Enjoy the warm weather and 73s to all.